Hello, everyone, and welcome to Subject to Pod. Today, we are talking about a controversial reality TV show, one that pioneered children as the subject of such a type of media. This show, the subject of today's pod, is Kid Nation. First airing on CBS in September of 2007 and canceled after 13 episodes in May of 2008, it has since become a cult classic since 2020. My name is Vincent Herman.
I'm Chelsea Watkins.
I'm Dot Flanagan.
And let's go ahead and first open up the table to our first question. How do you feel about the controversial nature of this show? And there's no editing because I said it.
Yeah, there's no editing.
How do you feel about the controversial nature of the show?
It's definitely there from the get-go.
Yeah, it wastes no time.
I actually really, that's what intrigued me to first even watch it. Because I know you said, hey, you should watch this. And you told me about it. I was like, yeah. But I was like, ooh, you're playing with like child autonomy and social dynamics. And
Well,
I was excited. I was like, this is going to be like a psychology to like watch. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Utopia. I don't know if you know what Utopia is. Like
I'm aware of the show. I haven't watched it.
But kids.
Yeah.
Which I think it's kind of better that it's kids though, because I feel like they when adults you kind of have some semblance of like you should know what you're doing. You should
Well,
know
that
how to
was
survive at least a little bit.
That was clearly the gimmick of this show was like, all right, we've seen Survivor and we've seen, I almost said Double Dare, not Double Dare. We've seen
Jeopardy.
We've seen them take the physical challenge. But no, we've seen what am I thinking of here? Big Brother and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we've never seen kids kind of fend for themselves. Like, what can kids do in this? And for that, at least, I do say that the premise is somewhat interesting, if not wild. Especially in its execution. I mean, it's not like they're totally alone. There are adults around, which didn't necessarily help anything, as we'll later talk about when it came down to the kids being left up to their own devices. But it is really an interesting premise. One of the ways I heard about it was JonTron. Actually, that was my introduction to it.
Yeah.
He really only covers the first episode though, and as Chelsea, you've seen the whole show before. I've seen the whole show before. Dot, how many episodes do you think you made it in?
I don't remember.
You said you just kind of left it on play.
It drove me nuts to watch it, though.
I mean, to be fair, though, the episodes kind of bled together. Like, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I watched
what episode this happened or what episode, because I was like, oh, was this episode? No, that was not. That was 3, not 4. Or that was 4, not 5. So I mean, because I watched them kind of all together.
Yeah. Well, that is kind of the nature of like little side tangent here. That's kind of the nature of like binging.
I say I got at least halfway through it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like you said, it's like 13 episodes long.
40 days. I mean, a little over 40 days. They said, right? Filming.
Yeah.
And like 40 days without.
It's 40 kids, 40 days. Yeah.
Between the ages of.
And there's so many of them that never even get a spotlight.
8 and 15.
Yeah.
Insane.
And this was in 2008, just a heads up. And that around that time anyway, it was like everything on TV was a reality show. Everyone was fighting for those.
This was really the heyday of reality television. This is when it really took over. And now like there's a million of them. Like reality is still king. Like I mean people are constantly talking about 90 Day Fiance.
God.
Well, they've got that Squid Game
the
one.
Golden Bachelor, don't forget about that.
The Golden Bachelor, yes, everyone's always talking about.
They're about to get divorced after like 3 months.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Really?
Huh. Called it. But anyways,
I think everybody did.
We could go on about reality TV shows.
Oh yeah.
No, I agree. The show is like it has its moments of remark, but ultimately it is kind of unremarkable. The first episode is kind of wild. The premise being what it is, and it's their first day in this town given these circumstances. But like once the kids kind of finally settle in and like have a purpose and like know what their goals are, like at that point it just kind of becomes like a run of the mill reality TV show. The only controversial part of it really being that it's children in these circumstances, which leads to things like people drinking bleach on accident because of improperly washed dishes. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading a Ask Me Anything, and someone well, one of the kids now grown up, I think his name was Matthew. Oh no, was it Matthew? Might have been, but and he was talking. They asked like, did they go behind you and wash the dishes if you guys didn't wash them right? He's like, God, I wish. Was the 3 words he said. He's like, God, I wish, because.
I myself, on my second watch, only made it about 7 episodes in, and the last episode I watched today before coming over here was the episode about trash. Like, there's a whole episode where one of the kids makes a comment like that they are concerned about wild animals approaching because their landfill is kind of like out of control.
It was Michael, by the way.
Yeah, and at one point they do show a shot of like just dishes laying out in the sand and everything, like just unwashed and everything. Like they themselves were putting this on Front Street, like on the show, which is like the producer's mindset to go like, yeah, let's show the unkempt, disgusting conditions these children are living in right now. That'll get us viewers. Yeah. Well, I mean now. Okay, at this time, also children's television was like really big. This was when Disney Channel was blowing up like crazy. So the parents' mindset is like, my kid could be the next Lizzie McGuire off of this, you know? So
I just like.
Yeah, and they didn't know that they were.
Yeah, and obviously
they didn't know their kids would be drinking bleach.
I mean, but also, I mean, when you have your. I don't know if I would have put my son on there at 8. Because, I mean, there's from 8 to 15 years old. Like, I wouldn't put him on there now, and he's almost 12. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he's highly capable, I have a really big feeling he won't drink bleach.
Well,
about 98%.
And stuff like that was, like, circumstantial.
The chickens. There was a
yes, I actually have a whole thing on the chicken.
Okay.
But I do want to state, like, not to bury the production, like, with the, like, you let kids drink bleach and live in filth and stuff. There were, like...
I wonder if was it bleach, or
the bleach incident, from what I found, was there was a mix-up between a bottle of seltzer water and bleach. But they had a medical staff on site, and they were there immediately to take care of the situation and stuff. So, like, ultimately, like, the kid was fine. I couldn't find the name of the kid who drank the bleach, but
was that Jared kid that one thing side?
I don't know. I didn't come across the someone is theoretically dead thing, but no, there was a medical staff. Apparently, they acted immediately, you know, like, and the kid was fine.
I just felt like
Anjay himself said that there were over 200 adults there at all times.
Yeah,
so
the thing is, like, the way I see it is, I feel like the concept of it is really cool. Like, you know, what can your kid do? Because, I mean, like, they could, at any time, if they wanted to go home, they could go home. So it wasn't like they were keeping them stranded. Like, there was not, you know.
Yeah.
They could raise their hand.
Well, they were legitimately stranded.
Well,
like they were not allowed to leave until the town hall meeting.
Yeah.
Stuff.
But they could leave. Like, they weren't like.
They did have an opt-out.
But kids, I didn't like that part. That drove me nuts because
like summer camp.
Kids don't understand that they have the ability to just walk away if something's bad, because they don't understand what exactly is bad. They're still learning that social aspect in life.
Which makes the kid in the first episode, what is his name? He's the one that JonTron interviewed too. Jimmy.
Yeah,
that's
Jimmy.
Right. Yeah. Which makes him all the more remarkable at 8 years old.
He's
just like
I
immediately knew he was too young for this. This was a crazy idea.
And that people try to convince him to stay. And he's like, "We're 3 kids," and he's like.
He knew right from the get-go. He was like, this isn't good.
Yeah, I consider him the smartest kid, to be honest.
Really, honestly, yeah. Yeah. It is interesting, though, how they did kind of confront them with the idea of forming their own government and what that comes with. Which brings me to my second question. How do you feel about the systems that they put in place to determine class, how the town run, and how it improved? Wow.
I mean, okay.
The stark silence.
I don't want to think about the answer before I say it. It's just the fact that, like, do we want to tell our listeners maybe a little bit about the government system?
Yeah,
before
sure.
we talk about it, because maybe they haven't.
So essentially, the show's participants are broken up into 5 different classes. So they have 4 classes that you can compete for, right? But there's also the town council. So I consider it 5 classes. So there's the upper class, who basically can volunteer to do any job they want, but they don't have to do anything. There is the merchant class, who run the shops and everything. There is the laborers. Is it the laborers at the bottom?
Cooks, merchants, and
okay, so cooks was the second one.
Yeah,
it was just specifically cooks. Okay, cooks and then laborers, and then each descending tier you got paid less and less. Which, if I have to say, based on our own capitalist society, somewhat of a better system. Not good. And at least they're given the opportunity to rise out of that class through what I would consider a fair system. You know, there's a game set up. You play the game. Whoever wins in descending order, like, you know, the last one standing is the laborer.
Isn't that what we all do right now? Is just play a game?
Yeah,
Life
but
is a game.
It's much more complicated and frustrating, and you're almost guaranteed to just be the laborer class.
That's true, but I mean, it's just I don't know. I felt like they kind of put them in. I kind of wanted them to make their own system.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like, this is a system we're using. Make it work for
right.
Instead of like,
it would have been interesting.
All these kids in this town. Who's gonna naturally step up and be the leader? Who's gonna naturally step up and be like, I'll help cook? Who's naturally gonna do this? Not, you know, let's play this game and who can get the hose to their thing, and that's the thing. And I'm like, I get it, because I know that there's like a concept writing, and then there's like, we want this to continue for seasons and seasons. So we want this to sell.
Right, because if you leave it up to the kids, it could take longer. For like 4 episodes.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
4 episodes in, we still don't have like a class of government here, you know.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I feel. I feel like you're like, yeah, look at all these kids starting their own civilization, but here's all the things. Here's the districts you're gonna have. Each of you guys will have a color. Now everyone's gonna have a role. Let them pick their own roles. If they I feel like Jimmy left not just because he was homesick.
Well, he left
because he was like, abilities. What can I do?
He left before they had split into the classes, but
also.
But Dot, Dot seemed like you were about to say something there.
It reminds me of Hunger Games for sure.
A little bit, yeah.
Like even in Hunger Games, they made it sound like you could get out of your class, but really you were just a pawn in the whole game.
Well, that's more comparable to our society, our actual day-to-day society.
Yeah, but I mean, even with these kids, they didn't have a true self-government because they still had adults telling them exactly, you're going to go from this class to this class if you win this.
They also had the book that book that the townsfolk wrote for them, which and I do want to come back to this, but I did find it kind of interesting in my research that I found out that Bonanza City actually existed. This place, it was actually like a real gold and silver mining town from like the 1880s. And then was abandoned in the early 1900s. But in the 50s, the Hughes family bought the land and built the Bonanza Creek Movie Ranch there. And since then, it's like kind of near the ruins of what was Bonanza City. And then since then, they've been using it as a filming location for things like this and so many more. That's where a lot of Westerns were filmed. So back in the day.
That makes sense, though. Bonanza Ranch. Ranch
yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like there was a lot more of a guiding hand than
I don't know. I just wanted like
than you would want.
because
Yeah.
if you take that away, like, and like I said, I didn't hate the show, but if you take that part away and they don't really have that control, it's just kind of like child labor laws, like strict child labor laws.
Well, there were some elements
camp.
of
I
that.
Mean, camp.
There were some
Egg.
elements of that like came up. There were a lot of lawsuits involved with this show because at the time of filming, New Mexico had passed a law to limit children's participation in film and television productions to 9 hours a day. But it didn't come into enforcement until a month after filming completed on this. Yeah. So there was like some backtracking with them trying to get sued over that. Then there was like their reasoning for it. They did try the summer camp defense. They tried the like, well, this is reality television. It's not film, you know.
CBS is like, it's good.
Yeah. And this was also still when they were trying to like flesh out like how do the legalities of reality television work, which still haven't been thoroughly sorted out to this day.
I mean, wasn't there? You talked about the bleach part, but wasn't there like a kitchen fire?
There was a kid. I actually have it right here. 11-year-old Divad Miles, who was burned with grease splatter from.
What the fuck?
The kitchen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean? Like
you had
how
stuff
old
like
was
that.
DeVita again? 11.
11.
But they can't choose their own government, but they can burn themselves.
Well,
on some
now
shit. Like I'm just saying, like,
more on the topic
come
of the
on.
government thing.
I mean, they had a freaking butcher their own chicken. They could have hurt themselves with that.
Okay,
very
yeah.
easily.
Coming
They
back
locked
to that.
themselves into the like. I know some of them locked themselves into the free or whatever it was.
Yeah, I
chickens.
remember that.
And come on.
And that's episode 2.
Episode
Episode 2.
We're not even anywhere
They decide
near.
to traumatize some of these children who've never watched a chicken die. Now, granted, some of them like had grown up on farms and stuff and knew what to do.
Freeze? When did the pipes freeze? Was that episode 2 as well?
That was either episode 2 or 3, but it was one of the early ones.
Yeah, it was. It was water supply freezes. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And chickens?
I don't know, man.
They just kind of toss them at it real quick.
If you watch the way that scene plays out too, like it's like they're all there at the beginning, and by the last shot that they show, there's like only 5 kids over there, and one of them is one of the oldest one, Greg, the 15-year-old. Yeah. And now let's talk about Greg a little bit here. Holy shit, this character.
About Greg?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Greg because at the very beginning of the show, I think it's either episode 1 or 2, he has a line that says, "You haven't seen me upset yet." And we eventually do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
There is an episode, I think it's episode 5.
Greg Pheasant.
No, it's episode 3. He dials it up, and I was so sure that this episode was going to devolve into violence, because who could stop him?
It was insane.
The only other kid who might have been able to was 14, was on his side. So I was pretty sure the structure of government, as we've been talking about, was about to change into a dictatorship.
I'm trying to see
Yeah.
there's something I read the entire like Ask Me Anything that Michael, I believe it's Michael, but
well, while you look for that, there's a moment in that episode where Greg is just hauling off, cursing at all of these kids, comes out, gets in one of their faces. Now to the 14-year-old, I can't remember his name, but like Greg's buddy, to his Eric, yes. To his credit, he's the one who pulled Greg back. Was like, took him back inside before he did, because it was like a split second there. We were watching a whole different show.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
I'm trying to see at the beginning of the show, you're portrayed as a level-headed, fuzzy-haired child.
Who is the AMA with? Michael. Okay.
Michael Todd, I can't remember his last name. So he was also he was the best possible, who had promised to be the best possible leader of the group. After you won your gold star, the camera times noted a short burst of yelling when the other kids blah blah.
Oh, is he the one who stood up on the table and like got everyone's attention in the first episode when the council was failing to?
Yeah.
Makes a big speech.
Yeah. Fuzzy hair. Yeah.
And you could tell early on after he did that, there were a couple other attempts by other kids to do stuff like that. Because there were a few other, there was a black child, I can't remember his name either, but I'm terrible at names, who at some point, I think during episode 2, stands up on a bench and like does a whole thing like that, but doesn't make a speech. He just like gets everyone's attention and then just was like,
captain, man.
Let's listen to them, and then sits back down. So everyone was trying to get their like stand up and look at me moment there early on. I found that entertaining. Like if there was a bingo card, like yeah.
Okay, well the answer to because someone asked, how did you feel about Blaine and Greg both being elected to the council? Do you think Greg actually improved after being elected to the council? And he said Blaine and Greg both reaching the council was pretty shocking. Blaine was actually a great guy, no problem with him. It was definitely an oh shit moment on the whole thing though. And I don't think I'm trying to see where he says shit about Greg.
About the altercation in episode 3.
Yep. Damn, what is it? I'll find out eventually. It was so I had
We'll circle back to that.
I'll circle back.
We'll circle back to that.
Greg's a dick.
No, I do feel like like although
now,
their structure was kind of handed to them, I do feel like they did have elements of fleshing out, like, okay, because there's one step further from that. It's like, all right, you are the merchant class. Like, what does that mean to you? Who does what jobs? And they did kind of parse those portions of it out. Like, they were handed, you are all the labor class. And then they figured out, okay, well, who performs what within this class? In fact, there's a moment where the yellow team, run by the council member, the pageant queen girl, is the cooks. And they are either just straight up not cooking, not washing dishes, not doing anything, or making like a handful of potatoes and then literally just giving them to people in handfuls with no dishes whatsoever. So it's like,
why are they cooks? They should be,
because they came in second. They came in third,
system.
actually.
Terrible system.
It's not a great system, but they did have someone amongst them.
What if I was a kid that I knew how to cook and I was like 12 and I was cooking some really good food, but my team won.
The kid who
my team lost and we're like just a labor, or we're like cleaning shit, like.
Well, because not all of them, like those who will rise above, and there is a kid in the yellow. I can't remember his name either, but he eventually beats Sophia in the race to become town council during their first election, and he really brings them up and like leads them into like a more functioning district. Whereas when Sophia was in charge, he was the one like trying to help out and like make their responsibilities work. Even though he was getting little to no help from his district. So there were ways that it worked out, in this system. I feel like those who would be like that,
the way that CBS wanted it to work out. It did. I feel like it did work out. I mean, It did. I just felt like there was times I felt like the executive producer and like CBS had different like ideas of what this was supposed to be.
I just think it's an enduring concept that those people who will fuck around find out, like when things are left up to at least somewhat of a natural progression.
It's like Fallout with the goat test. You fill out the test, and then like afterwards you're like, janitor.
Yeah. Yeah, see, because what happened? Sophia, like, lazed about, decided to abuse her situation, her station on the council, and she lost her situation in the council and was eventually made to finally, like, because she became ostracized at one point. Like, they just kept giving her harder and harder jobs because she wouldn't do the jobs that they'd given her. And before you know it, even her best friend, like, is like, all right, you know what? This is getting out of hand. I'm just going to go help them out. And like Sophia's sitting there all by herself. So it worked itself out. Sure, they got to be lazy for a bit. Sure, okay, they ate a handful of potatoes for one night, but it got worked out naturally.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think that, especially even if you're given, like, you know what I mean, at least a little bit of structure, I felt like the way it was, the kids like kind of like had these natural like hidden truths to it. Like, people are only going to give you so many chances.
Yeah,
and they're not.
Yeah.
Kids will only trust you. You know, kids will only give you so much. Like, they're willing to give a lot more trust than adults will. So I mean,
oh yeah,
that's already,
right. I mean that's kind of the nature of things.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I don't hate the show. Adults. I'll have to. I mean, I'm gonna shout out some things that were like, huh? But I don't hate the show overall. I thought it's actually one of the more entertaining reality shows.
Now, speaking about adults, there is one on-screen adult, Jonathan Karsh, who is a robot in a man suit.
I think him and Zuckerberg are...
He's your typical TV host, I think, seriously.
He was so emotionless. Like, I mean, he had one emotion, smile and yell. Like, and mostly the yelling part only happened during the competitions, but it was done through a smile.
A lot of people said they liked him though.
Before, however, though, he was he won the Audience Award for Best Director at the 2003 Sundance for his directorial debut. Sorry, I'm reading this. My Flesh and My Blood, a documentary which follows the Tom family and their 11 adopted children. So this dude has a track record with being involved with large groups of children.
Dang.
Most of whom had serious disabilities and diseases.
Wow.
Apparently, based on the reviews I read, it's very heartwarming, very good documentary. I would be interested in checking it out based on the reviews I saw. But from there, he was just pretty much a producer on reality TV from then and now. But I couldn't find a credit for him past 2018. So I don't know what he's been up to. COVID must have hit him hard. He did not die from COVID. I did look into that. I was nothing since 2018. Like, did COVID get him? No, but he's still kicking. No, he's still kicking.
Everyone thinks he's dead.
Everyone thinks he's dead. Yeah, I guess he must have just bounced, like, fell off the face of the earth, got out of the game. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he's up
everyone was
to.
like, is he dead? Rest in peace. Like, I was like, wait a minute.
But there's a moment where, like, and this also, I think this also kind of just shows, like, the let's get this done, let's produce the, like, mass production of reality TV at this time, kind of shows that, like, the show might have been better served if he was a more personable character. If he had been a little more, like, trying to relate to the kids. Like there's a moment with that John Tron points out where, like, Jimmy is, like, deciding to go home, and instead of, like, because my move would have been, like, get down to a knee, get down to Jimmy's level, and be like, you sure, bud? You know,
hey, listen,
like, yeah, all right, well, we're gonna send you home, you know. Instead, this, like, 6-foot dude just towers over him and just lightly touches him on the nose. Like,
the body language was
well, okay, yeah, body language was weird. The fact that he was just towering over this because, like, you look at, his neck is cranked all the way to look up at this man, this god that controls his fate.
That poor baby. Like, I would be homesick too. Like, Mom, and then he kept staring at me. Like,
so I feel like that was another failing on the show, is that the host was just so weird and awkward.
Like,
as far as I can tell,
like, they had people there, the camera people there, which.
True. I'm just saying this was the only presence
they couldn't
on
have
the finished
a child
product.
Psychologist there.
They did.
Oh, there was one on set.
Okay, that psychologist didn't go. Hey, why don't you try, like, body language, or maybe, like, getting down.
That's if they got to. I mean, he was the host of the show and the executive producer, but I doubt he was dealing with, like, talking to the ambulance.
Like, body language.
It honestly felt like they came up with the premise of this show, but didn't really think of all the little details like that.
Right, yeah. They came up with their system. They came up with their games. They knew there was going to be 40 days.
Obviously, something to keep the show going.
The town hall
for 40
meeting
days.
and stuff. Yeah, they fleshed out the little elements that would be the gimmicks of the show, but not like the substance. they figured the kids would take care of that. Feels like. I agree. Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't want to show maybe they didn't want to show too much like affection either, because they're supposed to be on their own and like kids and the whole parenting thing. Like maybe they he didn't want the kids to rely on any of him. Him
To
or
me,
anyone for
it
any
felt more like
emotional,
a.
like barriers.
Yeah, but if they were gonna
If you
do
ask
that,
me what their target audience is, it's definitely adults.
oh yeah,
I'm
for
sorry,
sure.
but that's
Weird.
definitely adults. I would not let a kid watch that.
Absolutely. Now
They'd probably be bored to death anyway.
Stressful.
I should say and there'll be a link in the description for the way you can watch this on the what is it that I found, the Internet Archive. You can watch all 13 episodes, but it is not streaming anywhere, and we totally absolutely watched it through legal means and nothing else.
We did.
But those legal means,
Internet Archive.
those legal means, on one of the episodes, it has this little ad at the beginning that is clearly meant to make this show geared towards children. So I don't know what their motivation was, because the editing, the way it plays out suggests it would be geared towards adults. I know I was captivated by this show the first time through.
I was like, whoa.
It's an interesting social experiment. I think it's more social experiment, which the adults definitely understand that more than a kid would.
I do think I think it's worth a watch one time through, because like I said, the first time I watched it, I was captivated, I was entertained. Second time watching through, like although I didn't get to the very end, I was a little less engaged, a little less shocked, and like taken aback by it.
My shoes stink so bad. Sorry, guys. Sorry, so sorry. Hey, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, all the.
This isn't
Everyone watching, I'm so sorry.
This isn't Suds and Buds.
You're not sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I do want to ask, as far as the challenges and rewards go, what were you guys' feelings on those? Like, just as an element of the show.
I mean, I feel like they needed to have it. Like when it comes to kids, like the whole kind of reward system, like positive reinforcement. I feel like it's important anyways.
Right. Well,
I don't know about negative reinforcement, not so much.
The challenges themselves were meant to mix up the classes, of course.
Oh,
but what I took umbrage of was the bait and make them choose.
Yeah.
Like, you can get 50 pizzas, or you can get a microwave, that it was so
old timey TV and like 7 extra outhouses.
Oh yeah, it was TV versus outhouses, because they legitimately did only have the one, like in the beginning.
I was like
that wasn't just something they played up for the show. They actually
outhouses
only
are rough
had
to
one.
start with.
One outhouse for 40 children.
Oh.
For how many days in between town hall meetings?
Like, what was it like? I think it's like.
Was it set? Was it a week or was it 11 days? I can't remember,
I
but
don't know, because
there was a significant amount of time though that 40
much.
Children only had access to one outhouse.
There's no way.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's horrible.
And then what if they'd have chosen the TV? Like, come on.
Just dig holes and poop them.
Like, I can't remember what it was up against, but there was.
Make a garden. I don't know.
I actually think it was the religion episode, which I do want to go back and talk about the religion episode.
That one.
But the prize for that,
episode 4.
The prize for that was, I think, a whole ass heated water slide. Which this was also no, it wasn't the religion episode, because this is the episode where they were
over a 9-hole miniature golf course.
But they had it was the episode where everyone's freezing, like the pipes are frozen and all that stuff.
Oh, that's number 2, I thought.
And it was like a heated water slide versus something else. I can't remember. Just like crazy shit like that. It's like such a setup, which good on the council members for like 9 times out of 10 making the right choices. But like, what a setup.
Like I was like, oh, wow. Wow.
Because it could have just been like a feel-good moment where it's like, we're gonna give you more outhouses. Like
remember,
instead of torturing them with the burden of choice.
It was the episode when the town council had to choose between a microwave with a barrel of cocoa over 40 pizzas.
Yeah.
Hot pizzas.
Yeah.
And everyone.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the
angry
Coco.
Everyone got. No, that's the deal with it. That's the deal with it episode. But everyone got so mad, and then they were like, "Well, you know what? A microwave is better." And so they agreed. But it was just like, it's insane.
But circling back to the religious thing.
Yes, that was.
I was really surprised about the way that they tackled religion on the show.
One of my favorite episodes out of all of them.
And for 2007, this was not a conversation like many, if any, shows were willing to have. So in a way, I have this like really weird respect for this one particular episode because it's like, hey, we got a lot of different faiths in this group. Let's talk about that. And obviously the council does not handle it well because I think what they come up with is let's all just have one service and we'll all like celebrate each other's thing, which like, you know.
I mean, Morgan's the one that kind of did that and she ended up getting the gold star. So I feel like it kind of worked out. Morgan was the one that kind of like, as they all bickered, she was the one that started to unite everyone by like, hey, let's have a bonfire where everyone just like just bond together in common prayer, even though we're all.
They end up doing a version of that, but what the council comes up with is more of just everyone's going to sit down and then we're going to learn about each religion, like kind of thing.
That's a good thing.
Which isn't a bad thing, but like the way they tried to do it was a misguided attempt of like literally forcing everyone's religion on everyone because there's that moment where they're out there ringing the bell and nobody shows up.
Morgan saved the day.
You had to take the pressure off of it.
And Greg was like, meh.
Yeah. You had to take the pressure off of it and make it an optional thing and stuff. And then before you know it, the kids are actually asking each other questions and like ones that were making some wild comments, but I'll forgive it because they're children. like eventually end up going like,
I was like,
I like when Sanjay is like, or they ask like, so you've got more than one god or some question like that gets sent to him, and he's what is it like 370 some odd thousand gods in his religion, and like they're like whoa, and like you can just see the like their brains exploded, like that's wild, like But yeah, it's a really interesting, and I'm not a religious person, I'm agnostic for a reason, but.
No, that was one of my favorite episodes.
But it was really an episode that stood out to me that like kind of showed once again when you're not like forcing these projected ideals out there, kids will just kind of explore this stuff on their own, and it doesn't have to be a bloodbath. You
don't have to make it a thing. They will figure it out. That's what they want to know.
Much like the societal stuff kind of sorted itself out, and I think. Something I'm coming to here just in this moment is that like maybe children are better than us in some ways.
Absolutely, because they haven't learned what society does to us.
Yeah.
They haven't learned that yet.
It's only one
we teach them that. It's taught. All these different behaviors.
20 some odd years of indoctrination from the main sources of adulthood in their lives. Do they become adults themselves who cannot be moved on their opinion?
That's why everyone's like, oh, I love how innocent kids. I love how honest kids are. That's because they're not taught to lie like society, that the lies that you're supposed to do in society to be polite.
Yeah.
They didn't learn those things. Some people don't care, but they know them. They know what they're not supposed to do. They just want to do the opposite. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we all know what we're not supposed to do and what we're supposed to do because it's been indoctrinated into us. Children don't have that yet. We teach them that.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have kids. If you
okay, real quick, two quick, because I'm not sure what we're at in the runtime here, but
we're about 40 minutes in.
We're about 40 minutes. Oh, we're doing real good.
Look at us.
Okay. Who was a standout character for you? Like Sophia. Yeah,
she was kind of
me as well.
Because I found, because like I said, I read that AMA and I agreed because at the end, Michael said like because they were like, did you guys hate each other? And he was like, no, we're actually still friends to this day. Like we didn't hate each other. Because the closer we got, we just wanted to start like fucking with them. But he didn't say fucking. But you know what I mean? He wanted to start like they wanted to kind of like see how bad they could get. I mean, I know that one day. I guess one of the someone got mad at her because she got a phone and called her parents one night. Apparently, someone had snuck her phone.
Oh, wow.
And they were
I don't
really
remember
mad at
this
her.
on the show. They must not have put this on the show. Yeah.
And he said that one day when he said the new Shins record came out at the time, one of the the camera people let him use her iPod that night so he could listen to the new album.
Oh, wow.
One night.
Okay.
So there's different things that, and obviously like Michael didn't have to worry about nothing because he was getting food from the camera people. He's like, that was great. I love those guys.
Yeah.
I ate the whole time. But I mean, I think Sophia was one of my favorites. Michael was one of my favorites. Greg, you gotta have a Greg.
He was the most interesting to me.
Yeah, you gotta have a Greg though. You have to have a Greg. In society, there's always a Greg.
Oh yeah.
Greg,
So
if you're listening,
what
it's you.
what made Greg so interesting to you?
I mean, he's blunt and straight to the point. I mean, you gotta give him props for that.
Yeah, some kids don't.
Even
But
if
he was
his
also
point
quite
was
a
somewhat
bully,
misguided.
and you're like,
Yeah.
and he's the oldest of them all, and you're like, he should know better to be treating these younger kids that way. But at the same time, you're like, I don't blame him because they're not that bright.
I don't think they ever go into
I think
his.
Alex is my favorite. He was really smart.
I don't think they ever go into
Asian kid.
Greg's home life, but he came off as somebody who doesn't have siblings. Like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
had big
Yeah.
time, like,
You could definitely tell
only
he
kid
was.
syndrome.
yeah. So, I have no research to back that up. It's just a feeling I get about him. But yeah, no, I agree that Greg was interesting. Like I said, I was just with what this show is already. I was like, I don't know what to expect the first time through. And
Yeah.
so when Greg started like going off and nobody's stopping him and no adult is stepping in here, I was like, how far are they going to take this?
Yeah,
How
it kinda
far
scared me a
can
little
this
bit,
go?
too, because I was like,
I was legitimately worried and kind of scared
yeah, I was
by that
scared.
episode.
Like, I already have anxiety problems, but I was like, I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
these kids, like I get it.
Because it
But
goes back to what I
also,
said.
like, are we just
They-
watching kids be put in risky situations for entertainment? That's really what it
it
is.
goes back
That's
to what
a
I said.
big question,
Is that
actually.
really all it is, or is it a social experiment?
Well, it goes back
Is
to what
it-
I said. None of them could stop him. If he wanted to, he could have just taken over by force. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Well,
it's
there was a lot of stuff that we did not see.
but I agree with Sophia was my favorite standout
Yeah.
as well. I think just right from the beginning, she had
And
the
her
right
cooking,
attitude
yeah,
about it.
Like,
She had also kind of she didn't take it too seriously as seriously as everyone else. Like there's that one point where like I think it's the first episode, maybe the second episode, where she's out there dancing for nickels because all she wants is the bike. Did she eventually make it to the council? I can't remember if she was on the council or
I
not,
believe so.
but she should have if not. Also, right from the beginning, the first one to question
She was
her leaders.
appointed town sheriff.
I do. Okay, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, great role for her. She was the first one to question authority. I love that.
I know we were.
I love
Like I
that.
said, Sophia. I mean,
So
and like now Sophia's doing great. Like in like real life, like she's doing great. And
she's a
she-
cop.
and she still thinks of it as a positive way too.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
like she
really?
was able to come out of that somehow.
Yeah.
Unscathed. So I mean,
A lot of the kids that anything I saw that I came across,
she's won 3 gold stars.
most of the kids were not
Nice.
traumatized by this experience. Most of them do look back on it fondly. If not, some of them do look back on it as weird and acknowledge that it was like kind of a messed up situation. But yeah, most of them have nostalgia for it.
I mean, Sophia used her winnings.
Some of
for
them
education.
wouldn't do it again. Some of them
Nice.
would.
So I mean, like she used that experience for her education to further her education.
Yeah, that's
So I mean, like, all right, you know.
yeah, that's my MVP for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall thoughts about the show. Just go around the table on
Woo! I don't want to start.
that. Dot your overall thoughts about the show. You're kind of giving us a taste of that before we were recording.
Well, I highly doubt it will ever happen again. I'll be surprised.
I mean,
way.
it'll.
The camp, guys.
We also all
Like-
said there's no way Trump gets elected. So, So
Yeah.
this is a whole different world over here.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
very sadly true. But oh my gosh, like I don't know. It was a very I like with my marketing background, it was just messed up in so many ways on the marketing. I don't feel like it was very straightforward.
Okay, so like it was so some of the advertising for this was maybe a little subversive to
Yeah, it's
throw
like
you off the scent of what it actually
like
was.
it's like they kept changing their mind who they want to target. And I'm like, do you
Yeah.
want kids or do you want adults?
Yeah.
Or both, I mean.
I don't really know which one's creepier.
Yeah, it's weird. Like as
Specifically
if you're an
22-year-olds.
adult and you
That's who we're going
want to
after.
watch
Yeah,
a bunch of
just the
kids
22-year-olds.
go at it, that's like watching those hobo videos, you know, where they're fighting
Oh,
on the
no.
street.
The bum
I'm like,
fights?
seriously?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, no. Those are messed up in their own freaking way.
It is. It really is. Like, it is one of those watching a train wreck things. It's like once it's happening in front of you, you're captivated and you got to see how it works out. But like, you are acknowledging that this is messed up,
Oh yeah.
but there's also nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I feel like you're watching it. You're like, all right, well, this is happening. Yeah, like you said, you're just
Yeah.
like
Get to the end of
I
it,
didn't
experience.
do this.
No, I mean,
Like,
also there's always the option of turning it off. But I
which
mean,
is, I almost, it was a couple.
I
times.
didn't want
Curiosity
to.
always gets to you.
Yeah,
I know.
I couldn't bring myself.
It's
to.
kind of like Tiger King.
Yeah.
I love it. Now
Like
we all know.
I started watching that. I'm like, I can't stop watching this. I need to know
really
what
is.
he does next.
Exactly. Or who's the next wild character they're gonna bring out of the woodwork? Like,
I mean, I wanted more, like, I felt like they were trying to show, they had potential, like, educational potential in teaching the viewers, like, about, like, governance and, like, economics and, like, social roles, like,
Oh,
through
yeah.
the kids. I felt like that didn't come out. Of course, you know, you're not going to always, you know, I thought it was a unique opportunity, so I wanted it to be kind of educational,
mhm.
like, just a little bit.
Just a little
It's
bit.
like, look what the kids are doing. Like, how can we find like these like similarities in our system? And 'cause a lot of the challenges and stuff are based off things in our own. Like,
So one way, actually, I'm gonna save this because I think we've got a question about it. But yeah, no, I do feel like there could have been a little more effort put into like the elements of the structure.
yeah,
The elements of what are we actually teaching the kids here? Like, if the emphasis had been on, like, the focus is on the kids and not on the sensationalism and the ratings, this could have actually probably been a really good show. Like,
Yeah,
a
like-
really interesting social experiment with multiple seasons.
responsibility, leadership, community building. Like they had social roles, they had economics, they had governance, they had leadership. They had, I mean, like team building. Like they had all kinds of different things that could have been.
Yeah.
I would have like if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna put the kids through that anyways, like I'd rather it be for like they're learning, the viewers are learning,
Yeah.
not like look at this person drink bleach, or look at this person kill a chicken, or look at this person like set the kitchen and stuff on fire, like.
But it
Which
also
I know comes with the territory.
it is also a
But-
product of its time, though. This is 2007. Again, we are
Very
still.
true.
I'm not saying it's
Although
terrible.
reality television had been around since the 90s, we were in the boom of reality television
Yeah.
at this point, and so the focus was always going to be on the sensationalism.
We
I don't
pushed
think
the
the show
boundaries.
would have gotten made if it had tried to actually have a message or a lesson or anything like that.
I'm surprised that Mr. Beast hasn't done it yet.
I think
Hmm.
a show like this could have a chance now with more
Now
thought.
that there are laws
put
and
behind
stuff
it.
put in place, like more
Yeah.
more laws, and then there's like I feel like you could do that. There's
Yeah,
almost safety
there's a
and ethical
way to do it
considerations.
now.
But
Yeah.
I feel like it did push the boundaries for reality television. Because I mean, like, I can't really think of anything else back then that was like outstanding reality TV, except for like, maybe Jerry Springer, but that wasn't outstanding. We just all knew it was a shit
Well,
show.
I think this one review here from the Washington Post
Oh.
it says it all
Oh,
from
goodness.
columnist Tom Shales. who suggested that the show is not so much an exercise in socialization as the indoctrination of children into consumer culture. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah. So from there, we will feed our own consumer culture in the form of hearing what our followers have to say. And I have a couple of comments here and then a few questions from a special guest who sent us some stuff. First, Kristen Day on Facebook said of the show, it's if Camp Nowhere and Lord of the Flies had a less murdery baby, this would probably be it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very Lord of the Flies. Like, it's very, very Lord of the Flies. It wants to be. Like, it wants to be, and it almost,
I think it's the G-rated version of Lord of the Flies.
Very G-rated.
Okay, this is Lord of the Flies up here. It went, but with kids.
Do you guys watch Yellow Jackets?
Oh, yes.
No,
I mean,
but
it's
I've
very
heard
much like Lord of the Flies.
I've heard
I
that.
love
extremely
Yellow Jackets.
brutal.
But they're all adults.
Yeah.
If I saw kids in that situation, I would be like, you know what I mean? Like plane wreck, plane crash, that kind of thing. No spoilers. But,
yeah.
But, like, I feel like the concept of what it was and what the executive producer wanted was not cohesive enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Unless it was, and what
Unless
they both
that was-
wanted was exactly this.
It could have been.
This could have actually been their
Yeah.
dream come true.
The Lord of the Flies is up on a pinata. It's like, with kids, though. Kids. They never really reach it.
But with pastel paints.
Pastel. Crayons.
In response to a video of
Lord.
me asking people what they want us to talk about on the show,
Oh, no.
at Black Panthers 3732 on TikTok said, "Shut up." So I don't think we're gonna get around to that subject, but
Oh, I
We
don't
will
think
at
he
the end
knows
of the
us very
season.
well.
yeah, we do appreciate the engagement though
Hey,
and the
Wakanda
suggestion.
forever, man.
Wakanda forever.
Hey.
Now, we are going to introduce a 3 questions from former Subject to Change Entertainment member and creative jargon liaison Travis Herman, who did a lot of research in preparation for this episode before leaving the company. So I figured I'd reach out to him and see what he had to say on the subject. And instead, he was more interested in what we would have to say on a variety of questions. So I'm going to play the first one now. Just going to turn my volume up. I'm going to play this off my phone like a professional.
Such a pro.
Hello, everyone. It's Travis Herman here from Creative Jargon, aka Dr. T. Neal, aka Daddy Cardboard, and Absolute Jared Stan. I have a few things I would like to ask you guys. In reality TV, we pick favorites. Mine, of course, is Jared, the eccentric time-traveling, bandana-wearing bad boy of Bonanza City. Which kid was your favorite and why?
Okay, this is why I need to listen to these beforehand. I've literally
answered
not.
that one,
We
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
did
Thank
already
you, Travis.
answer that.
Hey, listen.
Although I do like what he had to say there about, I just turned the volume off and
Like
should
a
actually
professional.
pause the video like a
We're
professional.
professionals, guys.
But no, I do like that he singled out Jared out of everyone. Can you guys remind me who Jared was? The bandana wearing bad boy.
He was one that read to the chickens.
Oh, yeah.
Jared is
He's a little
is the
oddball.
weirder kid. Yes, the weirder kid. I'm not. Look, weird is cool. And if anything, I agree
forgot
with him.
about Jared.
I agree with him because Jared kind of minds his own business. Like they do kind of like point him out every now and again, spotlight him every now and again, but it's almost never about what's going on. It's about whatever the fuck he's doing over there. Yeah, Jared's a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
I agree with his standing of Jared, as he put it. But yeah, we did already go into that question.
In
Great
reality
minds.
TV, we pick favorites.
Okay.
Mine, of course, is Jared.
We got that part.
It's 2024, and Kid Nation is coming back for season 2, baby. What challenges would you have the kids perform?
Pretty good one. Okay. So let's say it is
Taxes.
do your tax.
And then there was death.
Literally,
Tax form.
I was literally up until 2 a.m. last night doing my taxes.
I did mine like February.
Doing our taxes.
I had someone
too,
else
as
do
a
it.
company. You still haven't done it?
Oh, I've done it.
Oh,
I
okay.
had mine done a long time ago.
Mhm.
That's the blessing of having a sister that does bookkeeping
If
and
it
tax
was-
preparing.
If it was just mine, like I would have gotten to it so much sooner, but I really needed to clean up the books for STC so I could file those, and that's what took me forever. So all of our 2023 books are in order now.
Hey.
Yeah,
That's a
but,
blessing.
hey, I'm on top of it. But yeah,
We don't
so
owe anything, do we?
all right, it's 2024.
Let's print all this
Season
out.
2
Let's
is
just
happening.
give them
the
the bank
public.
account.
Yeah, let's talk about that on mic on our podcast.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now.
So anyways. God
Any other
damn.
questions? Or?
What? We're getting into season 2 of Kid Nation. They're finally bringing it back for all of us diehards. And what do we want to see? What kind of challenges would we
Taxes.
want
Okay,
to see them perform? So we had things like them. What was it? They had kind of like they were trying to strike oil, that kind of challenge. Where they had the big
what?
towers. They had to put the presidents in order after getting them off of sheep. I want to say
I
was
think,
that
yeah.
the sheep thing,
Yeah.
the president thing.
Those were some weird challenges.
Yeah, there's just some like goofy, wrangly type things.
I'm pretty
so-
sure they talked to the Nickelodeon people on that one.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of double dare type stuff. Yeah, they had to put together a puzzle of like a cathedral and then raise it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah. So
I feel like any of them that any like thing that we do now should be helping with like placemaking and like bettering the place that they're in.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Bonanza City is still, Bonanza City is still nothing.
yeah.
It's nothing.
Now, for a lot of those challenges, they had like a very short time limit. But if you kind of like eliminate that, still give them a time limit to complete
Yeah.
their challenge and stuff. But like, make it broader.
Like I would love a community garden that they have to share, and it's like so there's people in charge of like having to like
Well, that's
get it. there's people in charge of
Yeah,
having to
that's
Stuff-
cook
a
it.
pretty good challenge.
that's stuff that they have to do like
Yeah, I know
throughout
roles
the
and
show.
stuff, but I mean, like-
That's not necessarily a challenge because it's like, all right, who could plant the seeds and like
I know what you're
You
saying,
know.
but also like I still want the challenges to be somewhat
well, like
educational in some way.
maybe like a carpentry challenge or something
that would be
like
cool.
that. You know,
like,
you
Oh,
could-
can
yeah.
you put down, like
Like-
things like that.
so they
things
would
that
have to
Build a
learn-
bird
birdhouse.
Yeah.
How fast can you run back and forth, or how fast can you like take water to the? You know what I mean? Like I wanted things that could really challenge their
I mean,
real
a good
world
one would be
skills.
like changing their tire, like
like,
simple
real-world
adult
skills.
stuff,
Real world
Mhm.
skills that people now
Yeah.
still don't know what to do. Like
So let's
like change a tire.
like, change a tire.
let's posit that it's 2024 and they're bringing this back. Let's eliminate
All right.
Bonanza City, but like
Let's do the
post-apocalyptic settings have been popular in recent years and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of those situations. That's the scenario that we're placing the kids in. This is a post-apocalyptic town. You are now the only survivors, and it's up to you to like reclaim society, and like how we form a government based out of that. So things like gathering water would be a good challenge in
Yeah.
that situation.
necessity.
Archery would be
Are
like
we making it
various.
a post-apocalyptic? Like we're making it like a? Is that what we would?
I think that's a good set. I mean, like maybe an interesting element to introduce into the show is that every time the setting is a little different. Like it was an old West town before, now it's a post-apocalyptic one. Maybe the next time it's like
That would be fun.
you take them out into the woods. And you're like, all right, it's the jungle. Like
That would be cool.
don't
them to the
actually take them to
swamps
the jungle.
so they can play with the alligators.
I think. I think like a survival skills thing would be really cool. Like
Yeah.
fishing. Like
Well, another
I
thing
don't
that
know,
they
I think
had.
so,
Like
too.
putting out in the forest and being like, okay, who can start a fire? Who can start this? Who can that?
Yeah.
Things like that. Like
Another thing that they had at Bonanza City was there was a perimeter drawn up, and they had people going through that perimeter all the time, making sure, like, trying to keep the wild animals out and stuff. So there was some effort on that.
She talked about one of the kids going and borrowing a phone.
Right.
They didn't do that great a job if she could do that.
Well, that's just the adults working against the production.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's different. And then at one point they did encounter a scorpion. So you can't keep everything up, but
who's scorpions?
I love him.
But yeah, so in that situation, yeah, like survival skill like challenges, like
cool.
building a fire, stuff like that.
Or even like things that they're gonna, that's an answer.
Yeah.
Things that they're gonna need.
Anything to learn to be self-reliant, basically.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But also, I feel like if it's
because they'll have time to learn taxes and how to open a bank account and all this shit, and the school should be handling that anyways. But I kind
of want them to stick.
Let's be realistic now.
I want compass. I want compasses. I want like
compass psi.
Or like sundials, or hell, have them put up solar panels. Fucking typical. Whoever's the first game to put
that'd be a good prize, though. Solar panels.
Then guess what? Well, the town gets solar panels if you put them up. Yay!
Yay!
Whoever's the first one to get them up wins. But if
a
everyone
good
gets
challenge
them up,
would
then
be actually
using solar panels.
A good challenge would be using a compass and even trying to figure out a sundial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I learned how to do that when I was in Scouts.
Yeah.
It's things that, especially now that our planet's dying, like even faster now, maybe some environmental shit too.
Well, that sundial never goes out of date. You don't have to.
No, like
they never have to do it. They never have to do a patch on the sundial.
That's true. But maybe
batteries ain't gonna run out on that thing.
Like, how about an upcycled waste material competition?
Ooh, I like
art
that.
Or useful items that they can sell merchant wise, right? That they can make and sell at a market or something, things like that. Like all these different ideas.
And then maybe you hide, and this gets away from the whole challenge question, but as far as because they had the town Bible basically that they had to revisit in Bonanza City. Maybe in this situation there are hidden things like how to make compost, and so the kids would find that and go oh my God, we've got all this trash, and now we're trying to grow these crops. This could help,
Oh yeah.
Just hide information for them to come across. And of course, at some point it's going to be a PA just accidentally knocking a book over and it falls out. But still, you know.
Also, with those outhouses,
it's better than a kid getting
all that fertilizer for their garden.
No, in season 2, they still only get the one outhouse to start out with.
Or an old-timey TV.
Or TV. Or literally, it's still the Bonanza City TV.
What if it was they got a TV and there's no electricity? They're there you go.
No, they get the same.
Welcome.
They get the same tube TV built out of plywood. They tried to give them a Bonanza
Or they got
City.
a TV and had one channel.
Whoever can build a TV stand faster gets a TV in it.
There you go.
Oh,
all right, and here is our third and final question from Travis.
What rewards would 2024 Kid Nation participants have to pick between?
Okay.
What was that?
So this kind of this question lends itself to the challenges question. After completing said challenges, what would the reward system be? What rewards would we hand them in season 2? Now, if we're going off, do we want to go off the premise that we've set here that it's post-apocalyptic setting, or do we want to jump back to Bonanza City for season 2 and answer this one? Okay.
Fuck that.
I personally would do away with the either or. 15 tons of Jolly Ranch, not Jolly Ranchers. No, kids don't like Jolly Ranchers. Sour Patch Kids.
I would do something that's going to be beneficial to them living.
I would say if they complete
place.
I don't know. I kind of like the either or.
I do
really?
too.
But at the same time, I did not like the choices they gave him with the either or. I thought it was kind of silly.
No.
They're obviously going to pick the better one. But what they should have done is,
well, maybe you never know.
Here's something that will benefit you, and here's one that will benefit everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, which one will you choose? Will you?
Yeah, that
will you
was
sacrifice?
really.
Well,
it'll be the me against the tribe. Are you going to sacrifice when you know the tribe needs it, do you want it bad or more bad than the?
Say one of the prizes is everyone gets a new sleeping bag with a little extra cushion, or you get a bed.
Well, now here's the thing:
I don't know.
Or you get your own tent.
So the structure,
something like that.
So the structure of the challenge is that they are team-based things.
Yeah.
So based on that, are we saying that the challenges are now like the kids are doing the challenges themselves by themselves, and then we're eliminating the districts and team thing here?
We don't have to do that. We could have that team get the benefit. Or everyone in town gets the benefit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You could do it that way.
So, like,
because
let's say there's still the yellow, red, blue team. So, yellow team would get beds while everyone else just deals with their things. Or everyone gets newer, nicer sleeping bags.
That also is going to teach you, too, like, are you going to be more focused on community or self-reliance?
Mm-hmm. And then that's where some of the sensationalism might come out of. I mean, because, reality TV needs sensationalism. And so now you've got
the drama.
Yeah, now you've got a whole town kind of mad at this one district because they chose the beds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we will have elimination.
Make it functional but hard choices that are based on self-preservation or community preservation. I like that. Yeah. That's a good way to go about that. Okay, so any final thoughts on our subject of this pod?
I'm just glad I don't have to watch that again.
You know what? Like it was good. It was a good experience.
I might still finish my second run through.
Yeah.
Although at a slower pace.
I might rewatch it just to kind of because I don't know people. I can't take notes if I'm watching something.
Oh yeah.
I can't. I have to. If I do, I have to pause it and then write the note. And so if I miss anything, I'm a very visual learner. If I miss anything, I'm gonna be really mad. I have a photographic memory, so I can most of the time remember like scenes.
Oh yeah.
Snapshots, but also I don't have eidetic memory though, so I can't remember. I can't puke up facts from 1902. It's all once in a book. But and so I feel like it was. I feel like something I would watch again. Maybe take notes, but also feel like it was something that kind of for its time was way past its you know what I mean? It was
somebody was gonna do something like this at some point around that time for sure.
So I feel like for its time, the concept itself isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it isn't. But could we have done it better now? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, everyone look for Subject to Change Entertainment presents Kid Nation Part 2. Coming to Netflix. All right. Well, I've got just a little bit more to play.
We're working with Netflix now?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got that Netflix
Mr.
money
Beast,
now.
You can take this one.
We're still working with Blue Mics.
Blue Mics are great.
Good, but we could afford better if we had Netflix money.
Don't
I don't think that's a deniable fact. All right. Goddamn. All right. So, with that said, I've got a little bit more to play here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Travis again. Fuck.
Don't drop Travis. He gets mad,
I almost dropped my phone.
Oh.
All right, Travis, take it away.
And on that note, I hope we've taught the audience a bit about this phenomenon. In honor of Bonanza City, I leave you with the words of an 11-year-old named Jared Goldman from Dunwoody, Georgia. Today has been the worst day in 3 years.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening to Subject to Pod. Like this if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it. The best way to support us is on Patreon at patreon.com/subjecttochangeent. Or just follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are always posting stuff there and trying to keep everyone informed, even if our timing is 40 or so minutes off.
Hey, listen.
We had some technical difficulties.
Just because the timing subject to change, the quality never is. So,
my name is Vincent Herman.
I am Chelsea Watkins.
And I am Dot Flanagan.
Stay tuned for the next one.